Hello, welcome to another Tip Monday. This is Wendy Cannon with Cannon Planning, and we are diving into weekly planning this week. So far this month, we have talked about the brain dump and we have talked about organizing our task list. And today we're going to kind of culminate that and put it all together so that it makes the most sense for doing your weekly planning. So before we dive into the specifics, I want to talk about weekly planning in general, what kind of layouts you would normally use. So there are basically two different types of weekly layouts. The first one is the horizontal layout. And the horizontal layout, and I have my notes right here, and of course I didn't have them open before I started, go figure. The horizontal is more for writing out your tasks, your appointments, and then a more detailed format. So you still have the whole week that you can see, but it's more writing out more details about each of the tasks as they pop up. The other option is vertical, and vertical is actually my favorite, and I'm going to show you some of my favorites here, but this is more focused on time or categories or list format, and I am a list taker. You've seen that multiple ways with the Declutter Your Mind insert and how that works. So I have brought with me a couple of different insert variations. I'm going to share them with you. This is the weekly sampler. I'm going to talk about both horizontal and vertical, and we're going to get some different ideas of different layouts that Tool of 12 has available. So the first one is our weekly block. It comes both aligned and unlined. This is the lined variation, and this is in the medium size. So when it bumps up to the extra large, the layouts get a little bit different, but the process is still somewhat the same. So this is a weekly lined vertical, or excuse me, box block. There's the word I'm looking for, a vertical block layout. This one is a horizontal weekly. So you can see that this one is also something that comes lined or unlined, and it has the 7 days of the week and then one spot down here for the notes. This is not my favorite style. This is handy for many because it is one of our top selling weekly inserts, but this is not my favorite. I am not a person that likes to write out elaborate notes or have all those kinds of things. I just like to write my quick little note and be done with it. So this is another weekly layout version. This is week on 1, and it has all of the layout here, but it has extra space over here for writing notes. This is more likely something that I would use, mainly because it has all the note taking and the listability on this side. And I feel like I would use that a little bit more. This is the weekly block unlined. So you can see the variation there between that one and the other one that I shared you, the first one. The next one is the direct sales weekly. This is the lined variation, and actually one that I'm using currently this week. And I did in my Art of Planning and Journaling layout. The only thing is I did not put all this stuff at the top. I just have the boxes here, and then I have a space for me to be able to write my notes, to-dos, and all those kinds of things. This particular one, vertical, has a spot for to-dos, a habit tracker, and notes. And I like to just do a task list. The next one is our top 3 weekly. So this takes the top 3 notes and allows you to be able to pick those top 3 things. We talked about that last week when we were talking about the trade method or utilizing the Declutter Your Mind and how it talks about your top 3 tasks. This one also has the space at the bottom for your to-do. It has a spot for to buy, but I never would use that because I don't write those kinds of lists in here. And then important. So this is variation on the block. It just has the to-do at the top. The next one, this is my very favorite layout, and I'm actually going to show you a full insert of this and how I have used it. This is the Brain Dump Weekly. So it has weekly planning, top 3 in each box, and a place for your brain dump on a weekly basis. Definitely one of my most favorite layouts is the Brain Dump Weekly. The next one is Natasha's favorites. This one is a vertical layout. It has important at the top, appointments, and then spaces for you to make your to-do list down the bottom. Off to the side has a small Saturday and Sunday box. So depending on when you do your planning or when you have your days off, that would be something that you could utilize. The next one is one of our Bujo layouts. This is a Bujo weekly, and this one is in a horizontal style. And I do like what Elaine said in her comment. She said the horizontal works well for gratitude or journaling. It definitely does that for sure. So this one is another small variation of a horizontal where the boxes are put horizontally, but there's all this extra space over here to write notes and list. I might be tempted to use this variation, but again, it's more horizontal and I like a more vertical layout. This is the weekly block sections. It is a vertical layout, but broken down into 3 sections. So you can use this for like home and family, a cleaning schedule, business, or work, or kids, or however you want to break it down. But it gives you 3 options or 3 boxes per day, except for Saturday and Sunday, there's only 2. This is the appointment layout. There's a lot of writing in a little bit of space. So this is very similar to the weekly hourly, and I'm going to talk about that one in just a few seconds. But this one, if you are more apt to do time blocking or you need time control, these kinds of inserts would be best for you because these are broken down by specific times during the day, the hourly sections. And I think the next ones are daily. Yeah. So those are all in the sampler, which is a great way for you to get started if you're unsure of how to do the things. But I want to talk about the best practices for your weekly planning, or how are you going to go about doing your weekly planning? So I've already given you the first 2 steps. The first step is doing your brain dump. That's taking time to clear your mental clutter, write down the things that might be taking up space in your mind, figuring out what things you would like to tackle for the week. That's what you can do during your brain dump. And then organize your task list. We use the declutter your mind insert for that. I talked about it a little bit last week, how it has it broken down into 4 sections. So there is the top priorities or top 3, the easy 3, the next 3, and then the last one is kind of make it your own type thing. So top 3, easy 3, next 3, and then probably priorities that you might want to do for big projects that you have taken into account. All right, here's the next step. So we've done 1 and 2. Let's talk about the next step. The next step is number 3, which is review daily. So at the end of the day, you're going to take a look at what you have on your task list, and you're going to say, what did I get done? And what did I not get done? Here's one thing that I have learned specifically for me is that when I am doing my weekly planning, I do not actually write the tasks in the day that I want to do them. I write them in the day that they actually get done. And I'm going to show you that in just a few minutes, but it's something that I shared with my membership group a couple weeks ago, and a whole bunch of light bulbs went off. Here's why. Because sometimes we make plans to do things on a certain day and something comes up and changes the whole dynamic of what your day looks like. And then you feel defeated because all of those things that you said you needed to get done didn't get done because you had other priorities that came up ahead of them. So I like to make a big list and then work through that list and fit them in throughout the day where they belong, whether that makes them and that's where my declutter your mind insert comes into, because I can sit down in the morning to do my review and go, this is what I want to get accomplished for today. Here's how I'm going to make that happen. So when you utilize something like a daily review where you look at your schedule at nighttime or early in the morning before you have your coffee or drink or breakfast or whatever, this is a good opportunity for you to determine what things you can actually get accomplished throughout the day. The next thing is plan buffer time. I talked about this a little bit last week too, when I talked about the declutter your mind insert and how, or organizing your task list based off the 12-week year. One of the things that they include in the 12-week year is a buffer time. And this is the time when you get to do those low priority, maybe not income producing activities, like checking your email or looking at something in the back office, or something that doesn't necessarily need a high priority and you can do it whenever you have those little nooks and crannies, this would be your buffer time. So create a list of things that you can do. Let's say you finish a big project and you have about 10 minutes left in your day. Create a little list, maybe even a tip in that you have available that allows you to like hop in and check out something that off the list that you can check on: email, back office, sending a quick message to somebody, doing a follow-up message, something like that. Quick buffer time things that kind of need to get done throughout the day but don't need like set times. This was something that I actually talked about on Saturday, I believe, when I was talking about my laundry analogy. This is one that I love to talk about. Laundry is a project, and the parts and pieces of doing laundry, like washing, folding, sorting, folding and putting away, those kinds of things are considered tasks. So when it comes to looking at your list of things, are you looking at projects or are you looking at tasks? Tasks are smaller things, bite-sized things that you can get done in a fairly reasonable amount of time. And a couple of those different things put together will make great progress in completing a project. One reason why you might want to think about breaking down a task further is that you want to think about what you can actually get done in a given day. And if a project seems very, very overwhelming, taking it down into smaller bite-sized pieces will help the project get done in a faster time because you have taken out the little finite points and done those finite things. Another example I gave was writing a blog post. So you could do something like research your topic. That could be a task that you do. You could write the copy, finding the photos, incorporating the photos and adding alt text into your blog post. And then checking for SEO, your search engine optimization, searching for those kinds of things and make sure you have all those SEO things written, like your title and your blurb and all of those things. And then publishing, that's also another thing, depending on what your publishing looks like for your blog post. Then you can also incorporate those blog posts into your social media posts. You can add them to Pinterest, all kinds of things. So writing a blog post is a big thing with small bite-sized pieces. So be thinking about how you can break down those things. The last thing that you can do to have a good practice for your weekly planning, celebrate when you get those wins. What in it that you are accomplishing, what in it that you have been accomplishing makes it possible for you to celebrate those big wins that you might be having throughout the week, whether it is very, very small, like, hey, I crossed this thing off my list. And just crossing things off, we have a huge inside joke. It's not really an inside joke, but what we love there in our planning community is that we get to dot things, and we use habit tracker. And when you get a dot, that means that you completed something and that you have the ability to celebrate that win in completing that particular task. So what is one way when you get to the end of the week and you go, oh my gosh, I didn't get all of the things done that I wanted to get done. Where did my time go? If you have not done a time inventory lately, this is probably something that you want to incorporate into your routine at least once a quarter, if not more. This allows you to be able to follow along in what you are accomplishing day in and day out. So a time inventory is an opportunity for you to, and I'm going to show you guys an insert really quickly. This is just an example of an insert that I've used in the past. And this is the weekly block hourly. It only comes in an extra large variety. What I love about this is that you have the place for you to go down the list of things and check off your times, right? So if you are in the middle of a specific project, you're going to write at 7 o'clock, I did this. And then at 8 o'clock, I did this, 9 o'clock, 10, et cetera, until you fill out the whole day. This is something that you're going to do for a week that gives you a more well-rounded version than if you just did it for 24 hours, because things pop up and happen, right? So if you have your regularly scheduled program, this would be a good way for you to incorporate that. What I love in a time inventory is that you get to look back and there's no judgment. Like you can say, okay, I spent like 2 hours playing on my phone when I could have been doing something else, but it allows you to become aware of where your time goes. So if you get to the end of the week and you're like, oh my gosh, I had so many things on my list, but I didn't get anything done, you can look and say, okay, so for 3 hours here, I was working on a blog post. Why was it taking me 3 hours to work on this blog post? And you can like think about, maybe it was writing the copy. Maybe you were trying to do all of the project in one thing. And so, yes, it took you 3 hours to write a blog post, but you were doing all of the steps at one time rather than coming up with a list of projects, writing the copy, gathering the photos, et cetera, et cetera. So really be taking into account that time. So instead of writing just blog post, like what are you doing in that 3 hours? What did you do in that 3 hours to get your blog post written? Did you write copy? Did you look for photos? Did you write the alt text? All of those things you need to account for that time. So when you are looking back at the end of the week and you're like, where did my time go? And you're like, oh, I spent 3 hours doing a blog post. Great. So that means that moving forward, I need to account for that 3 hours anytime that I want to incorporate a blog post into my weekly time so that I'm not thinking it's going to take me an hour and it takes me 3 in all reality. Okay. So just some ways to be looking at different things that you can be doing throughout the course of the week when you are participating in a time inventory. The last thing that I wanted to do, you guys, is share with you what a typical weekly layout looks like for me. Now, I am currently using the Art of Planning and Journaling, which is a bullet journal layout, but I want to share with you guys my favorite one and why this one is my favorite. You were going to see, this was actually from the summer, not this summer, but last summer. This is really what my week looks like. So this is the planning portion. This is like writing down the things that I actually get done and checking things off the list. Some weeks are a little heavier in things that I need to get done, and some of them are a little bit heavier in family time, and I don't have as many tasks that I need to get done. So the list is not as long. But this is giving you a variety of ideas to see that I really do take the time to write out the things that I put on my list. Sometimes I have to incorporate other things like Post-it notes to help me get my list done. And I know I talked about Post-it notes at the beginning. If you use Post-it notes, make sure that you incorporate them into your planning and that they go where they belong. But you can kind of see, I was in Ohio this week, so I didn't have a lot of planning happening. But you can see kind of what a planning structure looks like for me when it comes to, like, this is a busy week. And I'm guessing this was month end because usually my month end looks crazy like this. But if you want to see what I was talking about at the beginning, where I write my list and then I add the things where they belong, this is in my current layouts. I am using a bullet journal right now. This is the Art of Planning and Journaling insert. So there are 4 pages in here that are dot grid. So I do a different layout each week. But you can see that I do a lot of my planning and strategies and execution on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. Towards Thursday and Friday, I don't have as much gumption to keep moving forward. I find that I'm heavy planning my Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So I start with a list here. And then as I complete those tasks, they get moved up to the day that I completed them so that I can look back, and if I was to plan something in the future, I would go, oh, I'm really heavy on Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So whatever I put on my schedule, I want to make it a little bit later in the week. So this was the beginning of September. You can see, again, I have large quantities of things to do, and they end up on Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday. Thursday was a video heavy day for me, and then I move into the weekend. Looking at this week, I do put my appointments on here, and then as I get things done, they get put onto the schedule, and you will see that these are all the things that I've already completed off of my list for today. So, and all that stuff gets written down. So you can kind of see how I like to plan out my week. It makes it really easy and simple for me to be able to look at things and do my planning when I organize based off of doing my brain dump and organizing my task list, what needs to be done when, time frame, when do I need to get it accomplished. Taking time each day to look at my schedule and using my declutter your mind insert to figure out what I want to work on for that day. Planning buffer time, so having those little small things that I can fit in as my 5-minute wins. Breaking down tasks further. I use my brain or my declutter your mind insert a lot for breaking down tasks. So here is the main point, and I want to break it down into the other. And then celebrate the wins. Friends, mark things off as you get them done so that you can celebrate all of the things that you managed to get accomplished throughout the course of the week. All right, that's all I've got for you guys this week. If you are in the market for building goals, developing habits, and managing tasks, Cannon Planning is the place to be. Follow me for more tips and tricks, and I'll see you guys all next week.